coming.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to DXdao's community call, July 28th. Today, we've got amazing topics on the agenda. We've also got some great guests around sharing some lovely presentation. Our friends from Tally Hall will be doing some recaps around governance and treasury. We'll talk about ETH Paris, ETHCC, and DXDAO's event we organized along with our friends from Gnosis Chain, GitPoApp, and Gnosis Safe. There'll be Alpha with a Swapr update and a bit of interesting news regarding DXstats. And last but not least, Carrot V1. So let's give the stage to our guests from Tally Ho. Max, you ready?
Ready. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, as I mentioned, we prepared like a couple of slides to give some background, and then we plan to do a demo if that's okay.
Yes, please. Yeah, we love demos.
Awesome.
And at the end of the presentation, if you're not shy, we'll have some discussion. We'll let everyone ask you questions, and yeah.
Sounds good. Not shy. Hope I can answer the questions, but let's give it a go.
Let's go.
Let me share my screen. Let's see if this works.
Woohoo! Perfect.
Awesome.
Everything works.
Look at that. And the first time we try. So usually something goes wrong, but it's not too late for that. Let's see. So thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for having us. We're going to talk about Tallyho, which is a new Web3 wallet that's been out for a while, but you may not have heard of yet. And as the title says, it's the wallet Web3 deserves. So a bit of background. What is Tallyho? Basically, it's the first community-owned Web3 wallet. It's open source, it's free, it's available to anyone. It's built for users by users, so everyone on the team has their roots really deeply embedded in crypto and are frequent users themselves. It's owned by a DAO, and all the revenue streams that the product is generating are going to the DAO. There's no in full basically, so all the fees directly flow to the DAO, and it's up to the DAO to decide how to use these funds. So before we start, we'll show some screenshots here. We'll do a demo at the end of the presentation. But if you want to try it out now during the call and play around and prepare some questions, feel free to already download the extension here. It's available in the Chrome store and in the Brave store. So if you want to do that, go to tally.cash/download or tally.cash, and you'll be able to quite easily install the extension from there. So a bit on the ecosystem side, as I mentioned, we've been around now for a couple of months with the extension being live, and over time we've seen quite some adoption around the Web3 ecosystem. So a few logos here of projects that have already integrated Tallyho, and we're actually working with Arhat mostly in this case on getting Tallyho integrated on Swapr as well. And that requires some wallet integration library work on our end, but we're confident that we get that sorted soon. But overall, as you can see, it's quite encouraging to see all these projects adding Tallyho as a wallet connection option to their dApps. And then some words from Bankless DAO and Gitcoin on how they see basically the need for Tallyho. So let me read those out loud. So from Gitcoin side, we're excited to see Tallyho's leadership make public goods funding a top priority from their DAO's inception. And without background, that's maybe a bit of a statement that requires some background. So Tallyho will fair launch, so there will be a governance token. Yeah, as the name says, the token will be used to make decisions for the DAO. And one of the first proposals will be to allocate part of the initial token supply to a Gitcoin aqueduct, and for those funds to be used for funding public goods. So the proposal will be 2.5% of the token supply to be allocated to Gitcoin, 50% of that to be used for Tallyho developments, and 50% of that to be used for general funding of Web3 public goods. And then on the Backlist DAO side, we've been working quite closely in discussing their ideas, our ideas on the overall DAO structure design. They've written some articles for us to give their viewpoint on that. So some tight relationships there as well. Then a bit of background, like why did we initially create Tallyho? So most of you maybe know or don't know, but MetaMask basically changed their license back in August 2020. Up to that point, it used to be an open source product. Anyone could fork the code, could make contributions. But they changed that in August 2020. There were some other changes in the code base, like potentially preparations for geo-blocking, that eventually sparked the initial idea that this is not in line with the values of Web3. So like almost anyone uses MetaMask, and it's sort of interesting that such a critical and vital piece of infrastructure is actually owned by a central party, and then later was acquired by JP Morgan. That is sort of against a lot of things Web3 we feel stands for. So we realized Web3 needed a wallet with decentralized ownership that would stay 100% free, open source, and operate as a public good and is available to everyone. And a wallet obviously can generate a lot of income, and we believe that should flow back to the community, to the Web3 ecosystem, and not to JP Morgan. So Tallyho is incubated by Thesis. So Thesis is a studio behind Threshold Network, formerly Keep Network. Keep and New Cipher merged to form the new network Threshold, and also Fold and Settle Exchange. But it will be fair launched, so there are no investors, there's no pre-sale, no predefined allocation, etc. On that end. So why does it matter? As said, all the fees that are generated from the product will flow back to the community. So we try to visualize that here. A user, in this case, uses the swap feature, pays a small fee for that. That fee directly flows to the Treasury, and the DAO can decide, do we want to spend that on grants and bounties for product feature development? Do we want to give rewards to users? Do we want to have other ecosystem initiatives like the public goods? So we think that's extremely powerful because it can generate a snowball effect. The more usage, the more income the DAO has, the more it can also do, the more services it can offer, etc. So you imagine that can really take off. It's open source, so anyone can fork the code, anyone can contribute to it, anyone can review it, ask questions, etc. It's out in the open, owned by a DAO. And then on the product side, like the fees are lower than the in-wallet swaps that MetaMask is offering. MetaMask is taking 0.85% in swap fees, and that can easily go over $1 million USD per day. I was actually, when I saw those numbers for the first time, I was surprised that it was so big, and that it's all going to basically to one party there. So that's a huge cash cow. It has a ledger integration that is very smooth. So no use of Ledger Live, etc. In a minute, you have your Ledger connected and fully functioning, and it has native Polygon support. So no need to add an RPC yourself, add a network name, etc. So that is all built into the product. And overall, the UX is pretty good. At least in my opinion, it's maybe biased as well, of course, but I'll let you judge that for yourself. So what's to come? Overall, better multi-chain UX. So the idea is that the wallet will have native support for the most used networks. So as said initially, we had Ethereum mainnet only. We launched Polygon I think 1.5 weeks ago, and it was publicly announced yesterday. And the idea is that we will expand that with Optimism, Arbitrum support on short term, and with an experience that for a user is better than what some alternatives are offering at the moment. What will also go live soon is NFTs. Initially, NFT viewing. So you'll be able to view your NFTs from within the extension. No trading, therefore you can just connect to your favorite NFT trading platform, but you will be able to see them from within the extension. And then in wallet yield opportunities. So imagine staking assets from within the wallet, generating yield with that. Also, the wallet taking a small administration fee that is then going to the DAO as an additional revenue stream. Yeah, a bit of a timeline. January last year, development started. And in August 21, Teleho was publicly announced. And maybe interesting to mention there that the initial idea was to fork an earlier version of MetaMask that was still open source, so that license-wise could be forked. But a bit into the development, the decision was made by the development team to abandon that idea. Because I'm not a developer myself, but what they explained is that the code base is so outdated in their viewpoint that it would become a limiting factor later on. So the decision was basically made to completely start from scratch, which means that there's a lot more work initially to be done. But that is now starting to pay off in having a code base that is set up the way it should be, and that'll allow for future developments to be happening at a more rapid pace. We started having community calls in August. I think we had DXdao in one of the first calls, probably September, October.
One of the first.
Right. Hey, East.
Yeah, sorry I'm late.
No worries.
Hello.
Yeah, so we started having those in August, and those really took off. So I think we peaked. Is it 1,300 people at one point, or accounts?
yeah, 1,400. Yeah, it was really huge at one time. Yeah. Right now it's a little bit less, but it's really great.
Yep. Yeah, awesome. And we have a guest speaker weekly, so those are always fun. It's sort of educational, so people learn new protocols, new information in general, and we also get a lot of product updates in alpha there, and typically we have some fun. Call for delegates. So Teleho will use a delegate system, so anyone can delegate their voting power to anyone, to themselves or also to someone else. So if you're interested in becoming a Teleho DAO delegate, you can still apply on the governance forum, gov.tele.cash. So if you feel that's something for you, you can still apply there, and you will be then listed in the wallet UI as a delegate option, and people can delegate their voting power to you. What we mentioned, 2.5% of the token supply to be allocated to Gitcoin Aqueduct. We deployed the community multisig, so we don't have the on-chain DAO at the moment yet, which means that there's no way to. like we don't want to hold funds as development team. So as an in between the on-chain DAO launch and the launch of the product, which is live, generating fees, it was decided to create a community multisig to which the swap fees are now flowing. Those funds are not used. Those funds are just sitting there and will be transferred to the DAO when the on-chain DAO is launched, and that will use a Governor Bravo framework. There's also a Gitcoin grant that was created, and I think all in all, meanwhile, it got with matching around $70-80K in donations, and those are also transferred to this multisig. We proposed a DAO structure around May, and we're now really gearing up for launching the on-chain DAO. I forget anything there, East, or anything to add?
No. I just want to add later a couple of words about the future.
Definitely. Yeah. So how can Tally benefit your community? So I think part of this is it basically. We already have a relationship that goes back quite a bit. We have frequent contact with DXdao, and this is an awesome way to, in general, it's great to build these relationships, meet some people in real life last week as well, and also to cross promote each other's projects. And later on, when the DAO officially launches, it's expected that a lot of your community members and yourselves will be able to claim some tokens. So that's always a good way to also reward your own community. And this will also mean that your community has a say in the Tallyho governance. So being a part of the decision-making process there. As well as what we mentioned, a significant chunk of the tokens to be allocated to Gitcoin, and deciding how those can be used for the greater good of the ecosystem. How to get involved. So we have our Discord server at chat.tally.cash. Integrations are always a priority. As mentioned, we want to be listed on as much dApps as possible as a wallet connection option. We have a few community developers who are able to do the integration work on the code side there. So yeah, that's definitely a way to get involved. If you're a developer yourself, head over to the GitHub and check out the code base. There's a lot of issues with a good first issue label that you could contribute to. There's actually quite some external contributions already. So we're positively surprised to see those contributions. There's a team who have set up a working group to do translation of the extension, so to have the extension available in multiple languages. So it's really cool to see that taking off. And then we have a lot of resources around the DAO on this page. And what we copied in here is this is the DAO functional organization that we envision. So you have token holders, you have delegates. So token holders can either delegate their voting power or vote themselves. They elect the elder doggos, which is something like a board of directors. And then there's different focus areas of the DAO, focusing on growth, focusing on build, and focusing on operations around the DAO. This is something that needs to be, of course, proposed and approved. But this is the idea on an initial working structure that we think could fit well with what we're trying to do. East, before we head over to the demo, what did you want to add?
Thank you. Yeah. Hi guys. I'm really glad to be here. I'm on the community as Nax. Nax is part of the team right now, but anyway, we lead the community calls, and I'm really glad to be here. So just short, your the presentation is really good. So closing words, Tally is different, and the thing about Tally is once the full version is live, users will own Tally to the upcoming DAO. And the proposals for all of Tally's future will need to be approved by the community. So it will be extremely difficult for Tally to misdirect wealth or act against its users, simply because users will have the power to reject those actions. And all the decisions with Tally-Ho, with the wallet, with the roadmap, with the future development of Tally-Ho, with the funds and everything around Tally-Ho will happen in public and not behind closed doors. And that's extremely important. As a result, we expect that any and all fee revenue will flow directly to the users or the product improvements and the ecosystem development, like the Gitcoin aqueduct, for example. Imagine all the good that 1 million a day could do if it went straight to users or to fund public goods and infrastructure for Ethereum. So that is one thing, one aspect that really amazed me.
Definitely.
Lovely.
Yeah, let's head to questions
Just
first.
yes, yeah. I feel
Okay,
like
sure.
we got a question from Sky.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for showing this update. And yeah, a lot of us were at your events in Paris, which are awesome. So thanks for that as well. One of the things DXdao as a pretty proper DAO has always faced the issues is like owning products such as wallets, which we've explored in the past. And so I'm wondering how, when you say the DAO can own the wallet, like in my mind, the wallet, like a Chrome extension in the Chrome store, like there clearly has to be some legal entity or something that's interacting with like the, with Google's store and all this kind of stuff. So how does how can you structure it so the DAO actually has control of and owns the actual product, which is not just where the treasury is getting directed, but like how does the DAO actually own the product?
Yes. You want me to take this, East, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, as you mentioned as well, and it's also a wallet, right? So it's a product where people store funds. So it needs to be safe. So you cannot have anyone just submitting pieces to the code base and doing the release without any any checks. So I think part of the important thing is that it's open source. So let's say the development is not in line with what a group or a community would feel like. The code can always be forked. So there is a lot of interest there to be aligned. So the idea is that there is a product roadmap that is basically owned by the development team, based on collective inputs from the DAO. So we have the build pack with the research group. And you know, like in general, like building products with a DAO is a challenge, right? You cannot have a voting process whether a button should be yellow or orange. And in general, I sometimes have an idea that I think is good, but overall, you need to assess, is that the best idea, and how does it weigh out to other priorities? So the idea is that the research then is really the group who is properly doing that research and investigating what should be on the roadmap of the product, and for the development team to be the gate what is actually being merged and released.
Yeah. So the DAO gets to like provide signal to the development team, but at the end of the day, like there's some couple people that control what actually goes into the actual wallet product, which is in the Chrome store. and if they want to do something on their own, like they don't have to listen to the signal from the DAO, right? Like that, and you could, like you said, you could always fork the code base, but if you want to fork the code base and make a new wallet, then you have Tally Prime, which is half the community has to then find another company or something to put it into the Google Chrome store, and then you'll have Tally Wallet, and then you'll have Tally Prime or Tally Classic in the Google Chrome store. But someone has to put this thing into the Google Chrome store, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, correct,
So,
indeed.
let me add a few words on that. That's a really great question. But anyway, like we are building the DAO structures, and right now what we are thinking about is like having this kind of organization in the DAO. So, like Nax said, we cannot submit to the whole token holder DAO decisions about colors or whatever. And the same goes with legal structure and development and roadmap and design. We are building all these working groups, and there will be also rules to have like the token holder DAO represented in all these working groups. And for the legal aspect, that's the same. So the operations pack, that's the name, will have for sure a legal arm where we will be trying to establish what's the best way to handle this. One way it could be like the DAO having an LLC representing them, like for example in Wyoming where it's possible. That's just one way. Or there is some institution representative for that, or one person. Anyway, what I'm getting at is the DAO will be handling those decisions, maybe in a hierarchy and an organization.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, if you guys can help, because proper DAOs have always had this problem. If you guys help really like design how this ownership can work, and obviously keeping it like unstoppable and censorship resistant by like a government through this mechanism is still kind of hard. But if you guys, we'd be happy to help figure this out. And if we can figure this out, then I think other DAOs will be able to try that same model, maybe, because it's a big problem for DAOs that don't have legal entities, obviously.
We can chat about this further because it's really interesting, and as you said, it's a real challenge. It's not solved yet, in my opinion.
Thanks.
Awesome. Did we do the demo, or was there an additional question?
Yeah, some question about the roadmap. So right now we have Polygon as a chain, and then we will have Optimism, Arbitrum. That's probably the next steps. And also custom RPC and other chains are coming, but it's like one step after the other. And same goes with hardware wallet support. So right now it's like Nax said, it's biased in my opinion as well. But Ledger is really smooth, the integration. Just go and try it out. It's really worth it. And Trezor is on the roadmap.
Yep.
Lovely. And just in a way of showing support to Tally and getting traction in adoption, DXdao is also helping by having Swapr working on an integration of Tally Wallet in the Swapr dApp. Of course, we would love to provide users the best user experience. And now that you have not only mainnet, but also Polygon, soon you're now working on Arbitrum next, and hopefully we can also get you to add Gnosis chain. Then our Swapr users can easily use Tally across all of the Swapr supported networks. Could you share some about the affiliate model for the token distribution? And also for the safety of users, what will be the symbol so that people don't get scammed?
You mean the ticker?
Yeah.
Yeah, so overall there is a renaming process. There's a forum post on that live as well, but there will be a rename very likely.
Okay.
So you have with Tally the governance project, and you had Tally. So overall we noticed that was quite confusing. So therefore we added the Ho to the name. But there is a rename likely going to happen at some point. And that will potentially also affect the token name. So the initial idea was for the token to be called Doggo. But there is a likely chance that will change. So yeah, a bit hard to give final details on that. On the launch affiliate program that you mentioned, basically what we can say at this stage is that it is likely that, or it is for certain that a lot of people from the Web3 community will be able to claim an allocation, and that there will be ways for a project or a DAO to how to best put this, to basically increase the allocation a community member can get, and with that also help the DAO. So imagine,
Nice.
yeah,
And a little alpha, DXdao and Swapr are partner projects, so we'll have something like a way for our community members to choose us from a drop down and bump up their allocation just because of their being members of the DXdao and Swapr communities, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Like, don't pinpoint me on drop down. It could be like a code indeed, something to fill in. That indeed will allow you to will allow them to increase their allocation, but also and with that also sponsor the treasury of DXdao Swapr. Yeah.
Sweet, lovely. All right, let's do a quick demo, and then we gotta take it to our usual agenda with some updates of latest happenings within DXdao.
Yep, that sounds good. So this is
show us the beauty.
Yeah, awesome. I will do a fresh install. So this is Tally.cash. You can go to download. I'm on Chrome, so I'm going to Chrome. I will install the extension here. Let's see. So it'll be here nicely next to MetaMask. Welcome to TallyHo. TallyHo is a DAO. Test responsibly. And then TallyHo set as default. So there is a setting that you can determine, that you can use to determine which is your primary wallet. If you set it to TallyHo as default, it'll try to connect TallyHo to a dApp. If you set it to not as default, likely MetaMask will connect. A couple of options: import a recovery phrase. So you can import. Let me set up a wallet password. Let me do a simple one. So you can import an existing recovery phrase from, in this case, 12 words from MetaMask, or you can import a 24-word recovery phrase. You can also connect the ledger, as we mentioned. So I don't have my ledger with me, but you can here connect your ledger, or you can do a read-only address. And that's interesting. A read-only address is basically you can fill in your ENS name or the ENS name of another address that you don't have access to, but you want to view. So let's add our friend Vitalik's address. Basically, it's now loaded as a read-only account, so you can obviously not set up transactions. You can connect to dApps, you can connect to Zapper, etc. But it will pre-populate, or it will basically display his account information as a read-only mode. You'll also see that it loads his animated PFP that he set up at one point, and all his balances. You also see that it's loading all these assets automatically, so it didn't need to be added customly. It's using pre-populated token lists, and those are not complete. If you miss an asset there, there's a way to add it to the token list. But as you see, there's quite a few assets already pre-populated from this list. You can also create a new wallet. So here's some information. Let me quickly record this. Oh. And yeah, you can then enter the verification process that you are all familiar with. Best. Oh, yeah, expose. Depth. And word number 11, that was... Oh, I cannot read that here. Give me 1 second. Let me quickly stop screen sharing. Then I will import a seed phrase that I have laying around. It's always tricky with screen sharing and seed phrases. Won't be the first one to...
It's where you have your 1,000 ETH.
Yeah, always. Yeah, that's the one I always use for the demo. Might as well go big, right? Let me... 1 second. Here. And what's actually interesting is that you can import multiple recovery phrases. Okay, let me screen share again. Am I sharing again?
Yeah, looks good.
Awesome. So this is now an imported account. So you can derive, just like in MetaMask, you can derive multiple addresses from the same recovery phrase. You could also now import another recovery phrase. You can import 10 recovery phrases, whatever you want. And those will then be listed as separate imported accounts. And you can then derive addresses from those one by one.
Are those dog avatars generated by the hash?
No, these are just randomly. I don't know exactly how it works in the background. They are just randomly generated fun images.
Yeah, they're in the wallet.
How many are there?
Yeah. So how many there are?
Yeah, like
I
you
don't
have
know.
the same ones that I'll get.
Yeah. I got a Matilda. Yeah.
Yeah. You cannot change the picture at the moment. You can rename, so you can change the name of the wallet. If you have an ENS PFP, it will, what I mentioned, automatically take that one. But yeah, just a fun little addition. And then you'll have Ethereum support and Polygon. There's in-wallet swapping, so you can do let's swap. Let's buy some.
And next in line is Arbitrum support, right?
Optimism and Arbitrum, yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Exactly. So
sweet.
Get final quote.
And this is the 0x protocol in the backend, right? For the swaps.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So this should. Let's see. Takes a while. So this should. Is it already completed? Let me just open again the link. Yeah, there it is. So this is the swap transaction, and what you'll see is this fee going to the DAO. So as I mentioned, MetaMask charges 0.875%. Tallyho currently charges 0.5% in swap fees, and those are going to this address, and that is the multisig. So this is the multisig on Polygon. Yeah, you see that these fees are trickling in, and then on Ethereum, let me open save here. Swap fees are ending up here as well.
So the end goal is to try and decentralize as much as possible, as much as the current technology allows you, so that all that funds that are being pulled in from the economic activity conducted in the wallet is governed by the community, right? Of the users.
Yes, it'll go to
Token holders.
Yeah, it'll go to a Governor Bravo contract to the time lock, and from there it'll have to go through the Governor Bravo vote cycle. So proposal, then it has the. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Governor Bravo, but it runs through these fixed cycles. So it's announced that there's a vote upcoming, then there's a voting window. It needs to reach the right amount of yes votes. Then it'll automatically go to a queue phase. And once the queue phase is passed, the proposal will be executed. And in the case of funds, it'll be a proposal to allocate funds from the time lock to address B. And when that proposal passes, those funds will be automatically transferred. Yeah.
I think you say you're still structuring the DAO, but do you, and obviously you mentioned a token and a fair launch.
Mm-hmm.
At first, are you already set that like the whole thing is going to be governed via, well, you said governance Bravo, but is that fully liquid token governance, or do you have other types of governance ideas as well, which might not be like, we don't want JP Morgan to just buy up all the Dogo token and govern the wallet, right?
Right. So yeah, you mean like different governance models for like.
Well, yeah, if it's liquid token governance, like people like JP Morgan could just buy up all the tokens and then govern the wallet, right?
Yeah, I mean they would. Yeah. At the end of the day, they could buy all the tokens indeed, and then you could also say like someone could fork the code and start over. So the intent is to distribute it as as said, as widely as possible. So there's no pre-allocations in that sense. But yeah, at some point, if somebody buys all the tokens, they would own the governance. There are talks about different models, like your Curve has their VE model, but overall, in principle,
At least there's no like pre-allocation, pre-mine, and it's like everybody gets a level playing field to purchase those tokens in the beginning, right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, purchase or indeed have them allocated based on historical credentials in the ecosystem. Yeah. But I imagine if one party buys up all the governance tokens from a community-owned wallet, it's not like I said, it's an open source project, so I think it's unlikely from happening. But
yeah. I only asked that because DXdao has a lot of experience with this, but more and more, especially like Vitalik will offer maybe there's some other types of governance, not just based on capital, that could be interesting ideas, and that would be like, how can you get non-transferable governance power in the hands of everyone that you want to govern Tally Ho wallet, right? And so Optimism has the bicameral thing, and then other DAOs are looking at other ways to do that. I was just wondering if you guys were already set on just being liquid token governance, or if there's some type of non-transferable governance power that could be involved in the system, especially as it's a young new product. Like you might want to have a smaller community that's not just token based or something.
Yeah, like a soulbound kind of thing. Definitely interested to hear in thoughts there. It's not like all set in stone indeed. I imagine it can also evolve over time. The trade-off is, of course, like, let's say you do it with something non-transferable. How do you you don't want to be a closed group in that sense. It needs to be as the ecosystem grows, as the user base of Tally Ho grows, it also needs to be open for newcomers to participate and have a say, basically earn their say. So definitely interested in continued talks in that also, if you have ideas there.
All right. Well, thank you very much for our guests. It was a lovely presentation. We had a little of a late start, and It's kind of like almost at the top of the hour, but the call itself has only been about 45 minutes. So we still got time till the real hour of recording to get some nice info about the latest developments within DXdao and products. First in line, if we still got our lovely co-contributor Dave on the call, maybe you could share a few updates on what's been happening with RAI in DXdao's Treasury.
Absolutely. As you know, RAI is my favorite topic. Happy to give an overview. So, well, as many of you know, or perhaps don't know, DXdao at one point was actually the largest holder of RAI. This was, I believe, Q3, Q4 of last year. And RAI is like, for those maybe not aware, like a kind of fully decentralized stable coin backed by solely ETH. And it's has like a PID controller, which controls like a redemption rate. And it worked out quite well for us for the few months. However, with the market turning down, RAI also had a strongly negative redemption rate. And what that really means is just how the value of each individual RAI will change over the next year. It's a projection. So at one point, it was above 20%. And so we decided to move a considerable amount of our RAI holdings into other stable coins. And we still held on to roughly 260,000 RAI in our treasury. RAI, even though it's considered a stable coin, it doesn't trade at $1. It trades currently, I believe, at 2.90 cents, 2.90 pennies, or whatever you guys call it in the US. And so John actually made a proposal in the forum, I believe, end of last week about the remaining RAI. And I think there was a general consensus that even though the RAI rate is currently decreasing, the redemption rate is around 9% right now, and it looks like it's heading towards 7%. That 7% is still a large cost, so to speak, for the DAO to hold RAI. And so there's a new forum post actually just posted today on DAO Talk to sell the remainder of our RAI and kind of await and see how the RAI redemption rate evolves. I think overall, DXdao is a big fan of RAI. It's arguably one of the most decentralized stablecoins out there, as there's no single entity that can censor or like freeze RAI, which is of course possible with USDC and other stables. And DAI itself is strongly backed by USDC, around 60% or so. And so, the proposal just outlined selling the remainder of the current RAI to DAI. DAI is kind of like the stablecoin we use the most, simply because we, of course, are deployed on Gnosis chain, where a majority of the worker proposals happen, and the native token there is XDAI. And however, like I mentioned, I think it's definitely worth for DXdao to keep an eye out on RAI. And in better market conditions, I think it definitely makes sense to re-enter a position there. And if you're more interested in this, you can go check out the forum posts, and there's more info there overall. Yeah, so that's the RAI update status for me. Nathan just shared the Reflexive Finance stats dashboard, where you can also track all stats regarding RAI.
Fantastic info, Dave. Thank you very much. Next, we got ECC Paris, but I'll actually defer this one for those patient enough to wait till the end of the call. You got a delayed gratification. We're gonna first chat a little about Swapr, our lovely Swapr. Venki said if you could share just a regular update on the latest developments. We got a new farming campaign coming next week.
Telling me Swapr is the less fun topic.
It's fun, it's exciting,
right.
But it's serious because it's about business, And
all right, I'll give some product update here. We have DXstats version 1.6 coming up. I think we're waiting for a community proposal to get that through, but we released the version on GitHub, and it's ready to be proposed. What's new is The branding is totally different, so it looks like Swapr more and more. As you guys know, it is a fork of Uniswap's stats page, but now it looks a little bit more like Swapr. We have a nice new dashboard. It looks really good. It's snappy. It's better. So yeah, that's ready. For Swapr, we have beta 15 coming up. We're aiming for end of this week, but I ruined it now when I said a date. So in that we will have 0x integration into the Echo router, which is something we're really looking forward to, and some general fixes, and a Swapr expedition teaser inside of it. That should be from product. Anyone wants to talk about the farming maybe?
Yes, just a timely reminder to our degens in the audience. The current farming campaign ends next Thursday, the 4th of August. So be prepared when the time comes to unstake from the current farms that will be expiring and restaking the new ones. There'll be due info coming on social media, a lovely Twitter thread, and also information in Discord with the new farming information, courtesy of our lovely social media guru, Wayne. Great. Yeah. Do we have John in the audience share some alpha about Carrot V1?
Hey, folks. Sorry,
Hello.
I was a little tuned out there, but Carrot V1, yes, like we are about to get the second audit report back from for Carrot V1 by Sigma Prime, which is a very reputable, well-known auditing firm. I would consider them to be like one of the top tier firms. They also are the makers of one of the Beacon chain ETH clients, so the ETH2 clients, so that for those who know that, I'm blanking on it right now, but it's one of the ETH2 clients. And the first audit went very well, so we're just waiting to get the second one back, address those issues, and that will clear the way for deploying Carrot V1. What we still have to do is develop the front end. So there's been some work done on that, but something we need to figure out kind of near term here is getting a designer to help Federico out a bit with the implementation there, and then we can kind of ramp up development on the front end. So don't really have like a launch date yet for the product because there's still the development of the front end, but it's moving along and the audits are about to be out of the way.
Nice. It looks like we're gonna pull a really big carrot from underground. It's still growing, getting nurtured. Lovely. And now we've come to the last topic of today's call. EthCC, DXdao's event in Paris around the Ethereum conference. We got Sky here in the audience to share some interesting information. I could chime in.
Yeah. So thanks, Nathan. Overall, Paris week was awesome. I actually wrote some thoughts up, and it's in a forum thread. But just to recap some of the highlights, DXdao had a very sizable presence, and I think that many communities can feel that. And even though only a few people were attending ECC, the conference itself, there were lots of awesome side events and other conferences and consensus and Filecoin and a whole bunch of happy hours and thesis and other things. And we had quite a few DXdao people, show up to all of those different events and things. I'd say that DXdao contributors are very active in discussions that happen at these events, and it becomes known that DXdao is in attendance, and also gives the opportunity to share the products and ideas and things that DXdao is working on, which is awesome. It was great for the new contributors who had never met DXdao contributors in person to meet each other for the first time. For some people, it was also some of their first Ethereum events that they've been attending. So hope that they enjoyed that. Obviously, the community is very special. There were lots of parties and late nights as well. And then the main event that DXdao organized and participated in and co-organized was with Gnosis Chain and GitPoep and Gnosis Safe. Was a late afternoon happy hour near the ECC venue. We got to invite all of the friends and partners that we wanted to speak with. It was a beautiful venue. We had to bring in, drinks and catering and things. There's not really like just a bar you can show up at in Paris. I think there were lots of awesome discussions among different groups of little huddles and people around Swapr and DAOs and governance and all that kind of stuff at that event. And so overall, I think it was a really great type of event to be a part of, and doing it in coordination with a few other awesome organizations in the space in order to like have some crossover with their communities and our communities. And there's obviously a lot of overlap, but it's a good, I think the first time DXdao has done an event with other organizations as together. And then overall ECC was great content. You can see a lot of it on YouTube. Go check it out. A lot of interesting discussions happen in the hallways there. But overall, really excited, I think, for that to all take place. And then I think people are excited for more future in-person events with more of the contributors of DXdao. So excited for that as well. But Nathan, if you wanted to add anything, please go ahead.
Lovely summary, Sky. You pretty much exhausted the topic. I could chime in with a couple of words. I could confirm DXdao contributors are truly an impressive crowd of like smart and bubbly folks that fit in any community, and our presence is felt wherever we go. Paris was it is in the hearts of the Ethereum community a special place, especially around the Ethereum conference every year. And I feel like it brings a special spirit in everyone of friendliness and enjoyment. But what left a lasting impression in me in the midst of this so-called bear market at the moment is the amount of innovation still happening in the space. Listening to those talks at the conference, seeing all the vibrant communities of all the different organizations and projects in the space still hiring and building full steam on is very, very promising, and kind of like builds a certain confidence in those who get to see it in person. Back in 2017, a lot of projects raised funds in the ICO boom, and then we had the bear in 2018, and everybody thought, is this it? But then we had some of the biggest names in the industry that we know currently, like Aave, Synthetics, Compound, and others, come out of the bear. And having seen all of the developments in Paris makes me just think like how much stronger we're going to come back. We're going to come back with a vengeance in the next bull. And I'm very bullish and optimistic on this industry. There's more money than ever. We now got stable coins. A lot of money is still within the system. There's a lot of money to go around. People are not that obsessive of price action that much. Everybody's hands down building, just like DXdao and our product squads. So I could say being in Paris just reaffirmed my stance that this industry has a bright future ahead of it. Aside from, of course, any regulatory FUD and uncertainty. Regarding our event, I would say it was the best event I attended in Paris. We had a lovely venue. It was a lovely crowd. Our partner projects, Gitcoin, Gitpoapp, Gnosis Chain, and Gnosis Safe were amazing co-organizers. And we did rock the swag scene. Our designers did their best, and our swag went in seconds. Like, everybody was going straight to the DXdao shirts and caps, and there were none left within just a few minutes. So it's a testament of how great we are in